My name is Kerry Graves, and I'm with Graves Investigations. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is hiring a private investigator for custody disputes. Now, my background centers on being a child welfare investigator, foster care worker, and case manager for around 4 years in North Carolina. So I've had the chance to work with many families when it comes to custody disputes and investigating custody issues. Many private investigators can't say that. So when we're dealing with custody disputes, you want to make sure that you have a few things before you present it to the investigator. One of those things is a legal and binding separation agreement and/or a schedule of when the children go to see the other parent. A private investigator will need to know these things and what to look for. You also need to know the laws in your state regarding custody, as well as overnight stays with maybe a potential boyfriend or a potential girlfriend. You want to know what the laws tell you in regards to whether this can happen or not. You want to make sure that this is in a custody agreement. If not, it is going to be up to a private investigator to determine if the other parent is acting against whatever agreement has been set forth by the courts. Usually a private investigator should be able to go out, do surveillance to determine if something is going awry, if there's any child abuse and/or neglect coming from the other household. Is there another individual around the children that's not supposed to be? And all of this can be done by doing surveillance of the home. Another thing you want to make sure of when dealing with a custody dispute is, do you have a good attorney? If you don't have a good family attorney who is familiar with the laws in that state, you may find yourself in trouble. When it comes to hiring a private investigator in a custody dispute, you want to make sure they have the necessary background in order to know some signs of child abuse and neglect. You want to make sure they know the custody laws and they've done family services work. You want to make sure they have the proper certifications to show you that they have worked in the child abuse and neglect system and know exactly what's going on in a home, a household, certain things to look for when it comes to children and not being happy in a certain home. You want to make sure that they can show you that they've done this before. Many private investigators still rely on being able to do basic surveillance, not knowing custody laws, visitation laws, and what signs to look for in children and other parents. This is a detriment to hiring a private investigator who does not have that actual experience. Here at Graves Investigations, I have that actual experience. I've worked in that system as well as law enforcement. I've worked with children as a mental health therapist for 6 years, and once again, within the Department of Social Services in many capacities, as well as a clinical instructor at UNC Chapel Hill, teaching social workers and other investigators what signs to look for when it comes to custody disputes and visitation, and as a child welfare collaborative coordinator, teaching students how to do the same. When determining whether or not to hire a private investigator for a custody dispute, please do your homework. And if you can find somebody who has that valid experience, you should give them a call, which is why you should give Graves Investigations a call. We do have that experience.